button. Hit the
Here
button.
we go.
From the depths of the internet, my podcast did arise. A trio of loons with cigars in their eyes. They've invaded the world with their smoky surprise. The Cigar Loons, they're oh so wise. Lunatic invaders of the cigar world, spreading smoke and laughter, their stories unfold. From the finest blends to the wildest tales, the Cigar Loons never fail to prevail. With their witty banter and infectious glee, they've captured hearts, you see. They're more than just smokers, they're a family, united by cigars, a brotherhood free. Invaders of the cigar world, spreading smoke and laughter, their stories unfold. From the finest blends to the wildest tales, the Cigar Loons never fail to prevail. They've got the knowledge, the passion, the flair, a podcast powerhouse beyond compare. So light up a stogie and join the affair. The Cigar Loons are always there. Lunatic invaders of the cigar world, spreading smoke and laughter, their stories unfold. From the finest blends to the wildest tales, the Cigar Loons never fail to prevail.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, it's us again. Am I supposed to be doing this?
Yes, please.
Yes, Grumpy. Yes, please.
You didn't tell me about that part, but
we
you
lost
know.
him already.
Yeah. See, there you go. I done run them off. Hadn't even got here 2 minutes yet. But anyway, good evening, everybody. Cigar Loons here, live one more time. Yep, that's us. Gaz over there, Matthew down there. Tonight we have a special guest. We have Samuel Schoelen from Schoelen Cigars. And we went over that pronunciation before we got started. And we came to the conclusion that most of us over here say Schoelen. And he's been told by the folks that from his own origin that he don't pronounce it right. So we're not going to fret the name thing. But we are going to discuss an excellent brand of cigar while we do enjoy one at the same time. And I do want to introduce our guest, Samuel. Welcome, sir. We are very glad to have you here with us. And we look forward to hearing the origins of this cigar. What was on your mind, how it came to be. Love you, dear daughter. Have a good evening. Y'all get over that. But anyway, just telling the daughter bye. You'll live. But the one thing I want to get started here, and then once I get you started on this, because I know you'll enjoy talking about this one. But you know what we're enjoying, so you can let the people know what we're smoking. But the curious thing that I want I want you to explain to our listeners, and I don't exactly remember how it was phrased, but I was reading about how how your idea for this creation was more designed and geared toward the European palate or the European taste for the tobacco, what you were trying to hit there. So, get us kicked off here, if that's all right with you, and whatever part of that story you're willing to tell, let us know how you got this ball rolling, brother. What was all that about?
I'd be glad to. So, little background. I've been smoking cigars for over 30 years. Once I started, I never stopped. Um, you'd say I'm a habitual smoker. I've been up to about some days you'll catch me at 10 cigars a day. Some days you'll catch me at one. But if I'm not having at least one cigar a day, then it's not a
Yeah,
good day.
there you go.
So,
At least one.
everywhere I go. So once upon a time before I started this business, I would travel. I would travel a lot. And as mentioned, I did travel into Asia and other places, but I traveled a lot throughout Europe. And everywhere I go, no matter if it was Vietnam or if it was London or if it was Sweden,
All right.
everywhere I went, I would find a cigar lounge, a cigar bar, a location. Even in Japan, that was an interesting one there. And then I would always ask, I would say, give me something I can't get. And then immediately, of course, say, oh, we've got these Cubans. I said, no, no, you're not understanding me. Get me something you can only get here, right at this location. And once you press a lot of these shops, they'll they'll show you these brands they don't really want to sell because it's a local person or it's a local brand that doesn't have the brand name recognition, doesn't have all this that people go looking for. But that's what I wanted.
Right.
I love trying new foods, new cigars, new drinks, everything. I like to really explore. And then I found a lot of the tastes and flavors draw construction of cigars throughout Europe, specifically one, which was my favorite cigar. I was able to find the owner and connect with him, and was in Sweden. And I loved it. I loved it. And a lot of the cigars I had throughout all the countries throughout Europe were similar in such. So then the wife says to me one day, well, why don't you do something about it? I said, what do you mean? I said, well, you love cigars so much. You've got a grueling job. It takes a lot out of you. Why don't you do this? I said, all right, let me start my homework, my research. Now, for anybody that's been smoking cigars for a long time, you think you know a lot. And I know I've met plenty of people that think they know a lot. But I
Yeah.
will gladly say that I knew nothing until I started this journey. I mean, I knew cigars I enjoyed. I knew why. I knew a lot of the uh,
Right.
a lot of details all the cigar smokers would know, but nobody knows what it takes to build a cigar and a good cigar on top of that. So went down the first path and you find a lot of these people that just want you to put your brand on their stick. And there's a lot of people, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of people that do that. And they will just find a manufacturer, some are better than others, and they just put their logo on it. And they say, look, I've got
Right.
a line of cigars. And that didn't work for me. Well, first off, the cigars that I was tasting were not the caliber I wanted. I had a choice when I started this. I could either start with a very cost effective cigar that was mediocre, or I could start with the top shelf best I could get my hands on. And I made that choice. I did not want to attach my name with a lower caliber cigar. I actually went down this path with curiosity, knowing not what makes a great cigar, but I was always curious what makes a bad cigar. And I did find out. Were you waving your hand to jump in there?
No, I was just waving it. Somebody made a comment. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just wave at them when they come in. We don't interrupt. Go right
So,
ahead.
all right. So then I went down to Esteli, where a lot of great cigars are made. And I interviewed a bunch of master blenders, and I mean a bunch. And I came down and I found two gentlemen that were what I'd say phenomenal. And I engaged with them to build the cigar I wanted. And that process is a lot of fun, especially if you're a cigar smoker, because what you do is you describe to them what you want. They build it, you taste it, then you modify. You go, okay, I like this, I didn't like that. Let's change this, let's change that. And then you go back and forth in this process. And it's a lot of fun until you create that recipe, the recipe of the cigar that is yours. And so when
Right.
I also started this, I was so nervous about telling people the recipe because it's published now. You can go see exactly what's in these cigars. But then as I spoke with them more, they said, listen, you could provide the recipe, but they don't know how to put it together in the right increments, the right amounts, and how it's put together. So that recipe is locked. So this is my cigar made using my recipe. Now, of course, these master blenders are the ones that have that recipe written down in a secret safe somewhere, just like, the Coca-Cola recipe.
Yes.
And that process was so educational. And I love telling people all the things I discovered. One of my favorite is they say on average, every cigar that you smoke from leaf to ash has been touched by about 300 hands. Some people may say that like, oh my God, that sounds disgusting. But you think about it, that just shows that
Yeah.
we're sitting here for an
Exactly.
hour appreciating this cigar and saying, what went
Yeah.
into this? And people want to balk and say, oh gosh, an expensive cigar, I'm not certain I want to spend that much, but you don't understand what went into it.
Right.
Sourcing the good tobacco, it all starts there. You have to find a guy that can source the good tobacco. Anybody that's just getting started cannot. They don't even have access. They can throw money at them and they'll say no. You have to be with a person that can source this good tobacco. Then you have to be with a person that can be reliable and can be very, very consistent, because we've all smoked some really great cigars and we go get the same brand and we smoke it again and go, well, what was that? That's not what I was smoking before. The consistency, sourcing the best tobacco, all these are very important. So went down
Right.
that path, got my first two lines out, the Connecticut and the Habano, the original and exclusive. And the Connecticut was an instant hit. And I'll tell you why. And I like how the review that was published about it, which you can find on my website, not to mention names, but it's out there. The way in which it was described is the Connecticut is a full body Connecticut. It's not a Connecticut where you're just going to pull in air. It's not going to be something that you don't
Right.
feel like you're even smoking a cigar. And what
Right.
it does is it tells a story. And that's why it's so special, is you're not going to have that same flavor all the way beginning to end. Starts with a nice spice, moves to a mellower a caramel, moves to a nutty flavor. And so if you really want to enjoy an adventure, that will do it for you. And the Connecticut did that, and everybody's been raving about it. Selling, everybody that smoked it has loved it, and everybody that's buying it is rebuying it, which is great. The Habano, slightly different in that was built for what I would say the everyday smoker. The Habano is built for a person that does smoke multiple cigars a day. And it's built in such a fashion that it has that strong boldness, but it's not really meant for you to sit down and try to get that. It's going to have one flavor consistently throughout the cigar. It's got the same little spice at the beginning, because that was a key ingredient in both of them. Was to have that little spice, but not overkill. I've smoked some cigars.
Not at all.
I'm certain you guys all have smoked some cigars that were a lot of spice, but this is just enough to make it exciting, enjoyable, and consistent flavor all the way through. Just released the Maduro, two different Maduro lines. And
Right.
the one Maduro, which I'm smoking right now, is very similar to the Connecticut. And it's even constructed in very similar fashions, just stronger. It's not too strong. It's about a 4 out of 5 strength. And that one's hitting the market now. It just made its way to Texas and Florida. Hopefully at the PCA, which is coming up in about a month. I hope to see the Maduro go much wider across the states. I expect it would. And the one Maduro, the Dunkel, which is a German word for dark, uh, is the one that is the storyteller. It's the one that you sit back and enjoy. The Dunkel 2, that is a stronger cigar in which it's a consistent strength all the way through. For those people that just like a nice kick, it's kind of like the flathead, the CIO flathead, that
Right.
if you sit down with that cigar, it's going to give you that kick that you're looking for, and that's what the Dunkel 2 will give you.
Awesome.
That sounds very good. Very good. Um, not not to throw a big curveball and don't want to divert away, from discussing these fine cigars. But you mentioned something earlier when you first was started out talking about attaching your name to to a cigar and what your expectations were of it. And you mentioned you mentioned the fact that some people will just find a bundle lot or whatever, stick a band on it, put a name on it, say they got a line of cigars. I mean, do you um in your opinion, no names mentioned and all that, of course, protect the innocent or the guilty. Do you think uh in the what we refer to as the boutique market, the smaller guys, the small batch guys, you know, the up and comers, that how much do you think that goes on, with some of the brands? Because we see people coming out every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cigar coming out. So, in your humble opinion, because you're more connected with that part of the business, how often would you say that actually happens? That how many of these boutique brands you think we might be smoking that are, a bundle off the shelf that got left there, and when it runs out, it's either going to have to change or, go extinct.
So, in my experience from the people I've met over the past 3 years,
Right.
I'm going to say about 50% of the people I talk to are dealing with these, uh, and I don't know how to, the proper word, but dealing with the people in which they're just rebranding. And
Right.
50% of them are actually going to the factory and creating something. And then they'll realize also is their cigar is the same of 10 other brands that all just have different bands on them. It's not yours. And you're right. Even if they run out or they're going to switch up the cigar on you and you won't even know it because all you're doing is popping bands on somebody's cigars. And I know it's the easy way to do it. It's the easy card. And if you want to get into this easy, there you go. I even saw a guy advertising the other day on Facebook about he will show you how to do it all. And he will walk you through that process. So I know that there's a lot out there that are going for the easy button. Um, but the easy button isn't what we should be doing. If we want to have a top tier cigar, you got to put in the work and the effort. It took me about 2 years of research and a year of production before I could even have the first cigar in my hands.
Right.
And that takes a lot. And then if you talk to the guys that really know how to build cigars, you can't get a cigar quickly, not a good one.
Right.
Even if the tobacco is already aged and ready, there's still a huge
Mm.
process that goes behind it.
Yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
process of how they
Yeah.
freeze the cigars. They bring them back to room temperature. They won't even wrap the cigars if the rings aren't there because they want the cigars to cook with the rings on them for a minimum. And this is if you're rushing them, 3 months.
Mhm.
Mm. And see,
That's
that's
interesting.
yeah. I mean that right there. Um, to me, that right there, anybody that's out there watching and listening, you know, if you've got it on your mind that you want to jump into this game, you know, and get you a cigar line and get up and running. And this gentleman down here, I think he's got a little bit of knowledge how it works, and you know, just listen to what he's saying. You can glean some good advice from that. But yeah, I greatly appreciate that answer. And
And even
yeah,
to that question, I had a guy reach out to me and
right,
actually reached out in public saying, I'm thinking about doing this and I would like to take some advice. And that's what I told him in a short amount was pretty much just that. If you want something quick and easy, maybe not the
right,
best, then that's the way you go. If you want something that's good, there's a lot of work, and I outlined some steps for him to take.
right. And that's you know, and that's what it's all about in this community. I know there's uh, a lot of other people in the community may not have taken that same approach. You know, they may have looked at that and said, "Yeah, flounder on, brother. You'll figure it out." But see, you took the time try to lift somebody else up, and that's the way the three of us, you know, see this cigar community on all sides of it from all angles. We ought to all be working together to lift this whole industry up, you know. But so many times you run into people that are just not willing, you know, not willing to do it.
So
But
it's interesting. So
yeah,
obviously been smoking cigars for a long time, and I can't say I've had any bad experience in any cigar lounge I've been to. The people that I have met, and I'm certain everybody's had this same experience or similar experience. Everybody's there just to have a relaxing, maybe a conversation, have their
yeah,
cigar, nothing but extraordinarily great people. In all, the lower tier, well, I shouldn't say lower
yeah,
tier, I should say the more common man cigar lounges, in the upper tier, the expensive cigar lounges. You don't even get shunned by a lot of people with a lot of money because they're
right,
there to do the same thing and just relax, have a good time. Now, some people don't want to be bothered because they want to spend their time with their cigar. Some people go for the social aspect. So, but I still haven't met
yeah,
anybody that's been bad. Now, you get into the manufacturing side and you start seeing a little bit of not the same things. And
right,
but my personal view is I don't view anybody as competition. They can choose to smoke my cigar. They can choose to smoke somebody else's cigar. There is enough cigar smokers out there in the world for every brand that wants to come to be. And I support others. I got plenty of guys that I know that came out with their brand, and I said, okay, let me buy it. I want to support you. I want to try your cigars. And I'm not going to say that I should ever speak ill of any of these people because they're trying to
right,
do the same things that I'm doing, and their success is not going to impact my success.
right,
That's right.
right. See, that's level headed way to look at it. But I'll take this opportunity. And once again, I do appreciate the answers, man. Those were excellent answers, and people should have gleaned advice from that and been taking notes. But Gaz, Matthew, I don't know which one of you guys would like to step to the plate first. I don't know, you know, but either one.
Sure.
Floor's open.
Well, I can take the first question if that's okay, guys.
Just want to say thank you to everyone who's watching us there on Instagram, and thanks to Joey. Joey's just sent a message asking for Samuel's handle there on Instagram. So that's what I was doing. I wasn't ignoring anyone. I was just replying back to the message there on Instagram. So thanks to Joey.
Okay.
But what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit back a little bit, and Matthew, we'll let you ask your questions.
Yeah. So first, I'm smoking the Schoelen exclusive, which is the Habano, I believe, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And you noted a spiciness in the beginning, and it definitely got that, and it's really kind of smoothed out now here in the second, third. I'm getting some a little bit of leather, a little bit of nuttiness. Really enjoying it so far. You spoke about your intentions with this cigar at length already, but where you look at this business as the art, as an art, right?
Absolutely.
So could you kind of get into that and maybe a little bit, I guess, expand on that a little bit? I know that we've talked to a lot of people, and it's they either have that that attitude of, I just need to push this out and get out what I'm thinking will sell, and then you seem to have a more of an artful approach
Did I
to
lose
it.
his
Can you
audio, or
kinda-
did I can't hear him anymore.
Oh, it might have been just you. I don't know, Gaz. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Did I
hear
lose you
but
there?
you're jumping in and out, Matthew.
Oh.
Sorry, I touched
Okay.
something.
Grumpy's back, so Grumpy must have pressed the wrong button.
I did. I was going to respond to DEA's comment, but I was going to say thank you, and I left.
Yep. So I got the question, and
Okay.
you're right. This is a true art form,
Mm,
and I relate it back to wine. And you look at all the differences and there's thousands upon thousands of different brands of wine, so many different types, and every type has variations of it. And why do you think that? Because if you relate the grape to the tobacco leaf,
Mhm.
grapes have to be picked in a certain region, a certain way to get a certain flavor. Even a certain point throughout the year gives it a different flavor. It has to be harvested correctly. And so all this comes back to trusting the knowledge where it is. So when I describe what I want, it's kind of like describing a painting. And then you want the experts that understand how the color schemes all come together to create that painting. So I put a lot of faith in my master blenders. Now, both of my master blenders are third generation master blenders. I mean, their dads did it and their dads' did it, their grandfathers. And they've been in this for 3 generations. So what I did, and I find this really interesting, that describing what I wanted, the 2 separate blenders and letting them pick the leaves and pick how they wanted to construct this. The inside of the Habano and the inside of the Connecticut are actually identical.
Oh, wow.
But as you smoke the different 2, you'll notice they're much different because of it being Habano, Connecticut, and how the recipe came together. Because what I told them I wanted to get out of the Habano, and what I told them what I wanted to get out of the Connecticut. So it's even looking at cooking. Yeah, I could look at all the ingredients and tell them, here's what I want it to taste like. You need to tell me what ingredients can make that. And they know what leaf does what and how it's supposed to react to another leaf. And that does take a generation to do. And both these gentlemen are not young, meaning in 3rd generation. I've got a little 18-year-old kid. No, they're both in their late 50s, early 60s. And so they've also been doing it their entire lives on top of their father and grandfather. So they are the masters that could take that end version of the art that I wanted and be able to create that. And one of the first questions that they said when I got there and I finally picked these 2 gentlemen was just that, is, what do you want to create? What caliber of cigar do you want to create? And that's where I told them, I'm starting at the top. If I fail, all right, I'm going to fail with a great cigar. But a lot of people said, no, you're new. You need to start out with a very affordable cigar. You can't start with a cigar that's top tier. And I said, well, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm happy that it's very successful so far, but it's because of that passion for wanting to create a good product. Because I don't want to create a cigar that somebody smokes and then they see my name and say, oh, yeah, I smoke your cigar. It was okay.
Oh yeah, that happens quick, and that will spread like wildfire. Totally understand that. It's great answer to that. I will pivot on a since you said wine. I I am a spirits guy. I really like whiskey of really all types. I am pairing the exclusive here tonight with Bushmills Red Bush, which is an Irish whiskey, bourbon barrel aged. It's actually going really well together. What would you pair with your cigars spirits wise?
So that's a difficult question. And I say that because I really like Scotch, in particular, Macallan's. And so, and everybody's taste buds are different. And I get that. And I
Sure.
can't even begin to assume what the perfect pairing would be. But for me, I love that. It just goes together perfectly. Interesting. You mentioned Irish whiskeys. The tobacco and cigar world inside of Ireland is really unique. But also, if you go to the Irish Whiskey Museum there, they'll tell you that no Irish whiskey is owned by Ireland anymore. They are now, they're still produced there, yes, but they're all owned by other companies in other countries.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I
And-
think this is pretty sure this is a Diageo brand, which is definitely not an Irish company. So
Yep.
absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting too.
Yeah.
And I love Scotch as well, so I understand. Macallan has a very specific sort of flavor profile that they tend to go with, and I do appreciate Macallan. I don't own a lot of it because I like the real peaty stuff. So I tend to not drink a lot of that stuff, but it is occasionally a very nice dram to have after dinner, you know. I guess with that, I will throw it to Gaz, see what he has, and then revisit if we need to. I don't want to take all the good questions.
Brother, I don't mind if you want to take the good questions on that. You know something? I'm just sitting here basking and taking the information in because you know something to start and to see, of course, where your journey was, Samuel, to traveling around Europe. Of course, I'm in England. I'm straight slap bang in the dirty West Midlands near Birmingham, 30 minutes from Birmingham. Don't go down London because the snobs, to me, down London, they're all wannabe cigar smokers that believe in Cubans are the best cigars going. Nah, they ain't the best cigars going because I've smoked them. And you know something? I'm not a Cuban fan. That's the thing. To me, then hearing, of course, you traveled to Japan, to Sweden, different places and all over, to then finally getting the cigar and choosing the factory. Even, like you said, of course, it's hard to put down of, well, I would say this is the best pairing to go with my cigar, or this is a pairing to try. It is odd. I know me and Matthew, of course, we drink a lot of whiskey, drink a lot of bourbon. I drink Japanese whiskey as well. And it is hard to put that down to a cigar. Now, on the profile of the Connecticut, the Mano, and also the Maduros, now that you've got, if you were to bring that to the UK market, which one would you say would more suit an English palate? Because me and Matthew have had this situation where we spoke. In England's normally known for being that milder palate, where me, I like the extreme hardcore, full-bodied, knock in the mouth, let's go. So where would you put your cigars in the UK market for a UK cigar smoker?
Well, specifically in London, I met a lot of people, had a lot of coworkers, and smoked a lot of cigars out there. And you're right. The first pick of most people that I met, at least in the UK market, would be the Connecticut. But a Connecticut, and I noticed, and that's why I designed my Connecticut in such this fashion. It's a Connecticut that will excite the person versus a Connecticut that's boring. So that's where I think that market, now excluding the taxes, because I couldn't even ship my cigars to London without huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to find ways throughout that. And right now I'm working on the Hong Kong market and working on Singapore market and such, but easier to get in. Looking at the UK, they just make it incredibly difficult to get cigars into the country for affordable prices.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know something. UK market is
Wow.
gone a little bit bump at the moment. The UK market
Stop
has
touching
gone
stuff.
very quiet. Nobody's really buying stuff here in the UK, and of course, we don't know if it is to do with the taxes. We don't know if it's to do with the general tobacco ban that they're bringing in. But if you are looking at bringing your cigars to the UK, I would definitely suggest talking to tour importers or talking to Brightleaf or maybe talking to Tobacco World. They will be at PCA and they're your best ones to talk if you are looking. The only thing is to do with volume of number to what's got to be brought. Also, of course, the whole thing of now of this passport system. And the passport system is basically to say, this is the factory, it's travelled to this warehouse, from this warehouse to the importer, from the warehouse of the importer to the shop. As if anyone here from, of course, Public Health England or our tax people wanted to see this, it's gone through the right way, not the black market. That's the thing. But it's a lot of money to go into that system. But they would be the best
Mhm.
ones to advise you and help you if you are looking at it in this UK market. And to me, really, Connecticut's over here. I'm not seeing a lot of people smoking Connecticut now. Over here. I'm seeing them trying, of course, Habano. I'm seeing them trying Mexican San Andreas. Seeing them trying Connecticut broadleaf, Oscuro, Brazilian Matafina, Brazilian Aprica, trying Cameroon, they're trying everything over here because this is where the market is. And of course, one of our sponsors, GQ Tobacconists, that I'm really good friends with, they bring in a hell of a lot of different cigars, from CAO to West Tampa to Karen Berger to Arturo Fuente to JC Newman to Patron, Perdomo, you name it, they've got it, basically. And they do a lot of boutique as well as their own stuff. And what they've seen with their business is not many people are buying their Connecticut blend. They're buying their fuller blends of their Maduros and stuff. So the market's changing from the Connecticut's. Because to me, and this is no offense, Connecticut's to me are boring.
Yeah,
I don't do
agree.
Connecticut. They're boring to me. I don't mind one in the morning with a cup of coffee if I'm waking up. But apart from that, I'm hitting them full-bodied cigars all day long. And that's the way I am. It's different, and I know it's different to everyone. But at the end of the day, I'd love to see your cigars here and see what people think. And this is the thing. I know, of course, you've had the ratings, and of course, it was Stogie Press that gave you your rating there on the original, which was a rating of 97. And then, of course, your Habano got a 91 rating. So, do you think, rating-wise, your cigars hit the rating that they should have rated, or do you reckon they should have hit a little bit more on the rating from Stogie Press?
So the rationale behind why he gave the rating as he did made sense, because there are a lot of cigars, they're going to have a consistent flavor all the way through. And a lot of people, and I don't want to mention name brands because then I'll start a controversy, but there's a lot of cigars. And so I would say for a cigar such as the Habano, the exclusive, that got the 91 rating is pretty good for what it's doing. It was designed to do that, and it's doing it. Now, the reason the other got so much higher is because not many cigars, well, a lot of the upper echelon ones will, but the general cigar won't be able to tell that story. And that's why the Connecticut got that high rating, because it's also a fuller body Connecticut that's not your normal. So that's why it got such a high rating, because it really does more than the average cigar does. Whereas the exclusive Habano is a really great cigar for a person that likes 4 to 5 cigars a day. If you want to sit back and have that enjoyable experience, I am looking my next tier that will come out probably 6 to 8 months from now is probably going to be a Habano that does have a more exciting story to it. But I don't want to bury myself in like some of these brands with 13 or 14 different facing cigars, and stores don't like that anyways. So I'm starting
Yeah.
with what I know, what I like, and I can describe to you exactly what each cigar should do. And also, maybe you should drop those names into my inbox there so I can look for them at PCA. You
Yep,
mentioned
I
one
would.
thing that was pretty interesting. You said volume. And another
Yep.
problem a lot of people run into, especially getting into this and starting, is to have the inventory. If you're going to be successful, you got to be prepared to be successful. And a lot of these
Yeah.
guys, they say, okay, I want 100 boxes out the door. And they say, uh-oh, I don't have 100 boxes to get out the door. You're in trouble, because that's your very first, that's the one problem I never wanted to have. I never wanted to not have inventory. My very first order that I put in was 10,000 cigars, and have ordered plenty more since then, just because I have a methodology of my own restocking to ensure that never happened to me, because I got warned that on my research from talking to all these different shops, and they said it happens all the time. You get a good cigar and then you just can't get it for 3 to 6 months.
Mhm.
Do you reckon that as well? And this is one of them where you can or you don't. Did the factory tell you got to have a 10,000 minimum? Because as we know with some, they will not touch you coming out the market if you're not having a 10,000 quantity. They want 10K dropping straight away for 10,000 quantity of cigars. Was that a case of the factory, or were the factory willing to do anything cigar-wise for you?
Not anything. They had their own minimums, but I went well above their minimums because I calculated what I thought I would need to have on hand. And I don't know if you've ever had the problem of trying to store 10,000 cigars. That's a whole separate issue.
Yeah, I'd say so.
No, I can store about 100, but
That's not the
it.
kitchen freezer for sure.
Couple of years back, I saw that problem, but yeah, man, I see that problem many times when I go to GQ, and they've had to change their whole humidor system up. So they've got one humidor now that is full of Cubans, and another humidor that's full of all New World cigars, as we class them here in the UK. And then he's got another room upstairs that's got all rare, exclusive Cubans, New Worlds that are there, some really old stock that his dad used to smoke. And I go in every day when I go up, and I'm like, dang, what else have you been buying? And he's got boxes upon boxes full of different cigars. And I'm like, holy shit.
So-
which ones am I buying today?
You brought up a great question I have for you guys.
Yeah,
Is
sure.
now you've got these cigars that are out there that'll go $150 to $200 a stick, just super expensive. And would you guys, and I don't know if you ever tried them, would you actually say that you believe those cigars, that super high echelon cigars, would ever be worthy of paying that amount of money? Most I paid once was at $80 for a cigar, and then I said, you know what? I don't think it was an $80 cigar.
there you go.
Well, I have opinions about that, especially based on the fact that I'm pretty well into the whiskey world, and there are some bottles out there that are obsessively priced, obscenely priced. Sorry, wrong word. But like like the Weller Millennium that came out recently, that was like $7,000. Just absurd. There's no way it's that good. Like, it's good. I would try it if somebody offered me a pour at $50 maybe, but I wouldn't spend that kind of money on a bottle. And I feel the same way about about a cigar. Like, I've had $40 cigars, $50 cigars, and that's kind of where it ends for me, because anything over that, I'm feeling like it's a diminishing return.
Yeah,
It's not going to be that much better. Like, even the $50 cigar I smoked, it wasn't as good as some of the $20 cigars I smoked.
there you
Matthew,
go.
if somebody asked you strip off and they got
Mhm.
a 30-year-old bottle of whiskey and they were going to give it you, you'd strip off and do a dance and all the rest of that bottle. We know you bougie bitch, because you would sell your
depending on what
body
it
for a
is,
bottle of
but yeah,
whiskey.
absolutely. Absolutely. I've paid I've done absurd things for whiskey, but you know, but again, like, yeah, to
It's
me, a
it's
cigar
crazy.
can't be worth that much. It just can't.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
It's
yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Once it reaches a certain point, I
Well, I
mean,
like how you put
seriously,
it. It's diminishing returns. It very well could be worthy of that amount of money, but it does diminish as it goes up. And I've had very
yeah,
expensive Macallans and where I've only had just a 1 ounce pour of it because the 1 ounce pour was $350.
Right.
And I had it and said, okay, nice to have, but you obviously wouldn't catch me buying the bottle.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Years
go.
ago, and I'm talking 2008, there was a time when money was no option. Pure and simple. Money was no option. And I'd go some of the big fancy restaurants, have the big fancy meals that are like $200-300, then a whiskey on top, getting into that 500 marker, going up to 1,000 marker. And it didn't bother me. It's a case of, well, look at me. Now, looking at it, it's like, was that whiskey any better than a 50 bottle? Going down to a 20 bottle? No, it's probably about the same. Okay, it's been aged a little bit longer. Yeah. Cigar wise, here is, taxis, import, different things. Our cigars are not reasonable priced. You're looking anywhere from 30 to 50, going up to 70 to 200. Now, I've had some really dear Cubans in the $200 to $300 market. They were just that. They were, okay, yeah, I smoked one. To me, I'd rather go and look at a boutique cigar company or maybe a legacy company that I know of that's been out there for a bit. Go see what they've got in their range of cigars that I have not smoked and go and try it. And sometimes you can buy a $10 cigar and it competes better than a $200 cigar. You can go and buy a $20 cigar that beats them. That's what I'd rather do than going and spending top whack on a cigar because of it's that symbol icon to post on social media. Oh, look at me, I'm smoking this $200 Bahiki. Oh, look at me, I've got this $1,000 bottle of whiskey. It's a social media post to me, that kind of game is. It's not what we're about. Grumpy, Matthew, and me, we're on that budget. We're on that budget of this is how much we've got for cigars every month. This is what we do. We're everyday cigar smokers.
Yeah.
And we make
Yeah.
sure there's our budget is what we can afford. Yeah, okay, we might get overruns. Yeah, we might go and splurge on an expensive cigar now and again. But we work within our budget. We don't go over that budget as everyday cigar smokers.
Yeah. Ain't.
And another controversial topic. So, as you can probably tell just throughout this conversation here, I don't follow a lot of the etiquettes of a true cigar smoker. I don't put my cigar down as much as I'm supposed to. I smoke very fast, and yes, I know it heats up the cigar, and I know all the details.
Yeah.
But I choose to
Right.
smoke the cigars how I would like to, and I get such kickback from the cigar purists of the world.
Right. Yeah.
You can't do that. I said, well,
Mhm.
you are I'm more than happy for how you would like to smoke your cigar.
Right.
But
Oh,
if
yeah.
I choose to smoke my cigar fast, if I choose to take the label off too early, or I choose not to set it down, because once I smoke a cigar, it's rare I set it down.
Right.
And then you look online and some of the videos I posted, and you look in the comments, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Such as, here's one I got kicked back on. Every once in a while, I like to dip the tip of my cigar into my scotch. And now I find, yes, it changes the flavor. No, you ruined your cigar. I didn't ruin it. I gave a different flavor for that one point in that day or that night that I wanted something slightly different. It doesn't mean I do it every time, but I get such kickback from people on the not proper cigar etiquette. And they say,
Yeah.
to each his own.
Yeah.
I-
Exactly. If
You
people,
see
if more
that-
people thought that way, it'd be a wonderful world.
you see that in all of these different circles, the whiskey circle.
Yeah,
People
you
get
do.
super
You do.
upset when you put, I have a $200 bottle behind this fake wall back here, like, and like, if I gave it to somebody and they said, "Oh, can I get some ice?" I have no problem with that. They're the ones drinking, not me. I don't care. You do with your cigar, with your whiskey, what you like, because it's yours. It's not mine anymore, even if I gave it to you.
Even if you
I
choose
don't
to
understand.
oblivion.
Well, that one's
Well,
painful
we
to
have
watch, but it is what it is.
well, we've had a comment, right, over on Instagram, and it's from Tired and True Moments, and he's put, however, companies are trying to fiddle with Connecticut's again, especially Viva La Vida, which, yeah, we know Espanola, of course, we know Stallone, we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
Drew
Viva La
Estate with the
Vida on, too.
S84, we've had Drew Estate on, we've had
Yeah.
Viva La Vida. What's the price point of your Connecticut? And like I said to him, we don't discuss the price point because of YouTube, and he's put, shit, it's with money, I do whatever I want to do with it. By the way, I'm a fast smoker at times myself, he's put. And this is the thing, we do apologise that we don't mention price point, because if we mention price point, we're going to get bananaed, and we don't.
It's one of them we don't censor you kind of things.
Go and look up Samuel there on Instagram.
Yeah,
on
man.
Instagram. Or Facebook. Go on Facebook, and that's the best way for you. That's
And
what
I will say,
I've
he
got to be
responds.
careful on pointing people to them directions, because that can also get us.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning anyone to go here or go there. I'm not condoning anyone to smoke. I'm not condoning anyone to drink. Please be over the age of 18 in the UK. Please be over the age of 21 in the United States. Just legal
Oh
doses.
my God. Somebody
All the
triggered
legal
the ad.
announcements are done.
Yeah, all the disclaimers. You mentioned the Stallone cigars. Have you guys tried those?
Yep,
Yeah.
we smoked Stallone.
Yeah.
So there's a interesting reason I ask, because the factory in which those are produced are the same factory where my Habano was produced.
Okay.
Huh?
That's okay.
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 Good deal.
Yeah, I really enjoyed all the.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think I've smoked 4 different blends out of that mix yet so far.
We had
That's
a
a
great
good
chat.
cigar.
We had a great chat with Tony as well from Stallone.
Yeah.
Stallone.
Yeah. Every one of those were good smokes.
Yeah, I did smoke some of those cigars, but I haven't seen them. I think they're primarily in Florida, a lot of different shops in Florida. So I haven't had an opportunity to pull them out of a shop, but I was able to pull a couple right out of the factory.
That's always handy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what?
So, what was that, Matthew?
What'd you
go
say,
ahead,
Matthew?
guess. I said nothing.
So, for, of course, now Samuel getting into this year, of course, we're in 2026. We know next year is going to be 2027. And just seems to be this, when you get around to it, you go, dang, this year's gone fast. Dang, it's PCA. Oh, no, it's this event. Oh, no, it's this event. Where do you see your brand after PCA, leading into, of course, the back end of this year, going into next year? Where do you see the brand going?
So I think PCA, this will be my first attendance at PCA. I see that as the point of escalation in which I've got, I couldn't even count how many shops all said they're bringing them in at PCA. And that's going to flood the market out into many different locations. And based on what's been happening, every shop they get into, how quickly they've been moving, I anticipate probably 2027, because it'll take throughout the rest of 2026 to really get the brand moving out there. I envision 2027 as that year in which it'll be absolutely moving out of, and I don't know if there's a specific line between boutique cigars and a very well-known brand of cigars, but right now I'm already starting to get it. I'm starting to walk into shops and they go, I know that cigar, or I watched that podcast, or I know it, and I want to bring it in because of that. So I'm already getting that. But I view 2027 to be that year in which the brand is extremely well known and people are out looking for it.
There
So
you go.
There you
I
go.
know you said
That's awesome.
I know you said this next year
Forward.
is that bang. Everyone's going to know you and stuff. And as you're moving out of that boutique, because it's a hard one. Boutique, craft, legacy, well known. There's so many different names in this whole thing. As we know with boutique, if it's under $1 million, your boutique. Over $1 million, your legacy. So with you saying that you're moving out of that boutique, does that mean that you're now looking at making over $1 million cigars in your line to move out of that boutique market? Or are you still going to be under that 1 million, but you think the name's going to get out there and more people are going to know you? And don't take no offense to this. Like I say, it's just the question that I'm asking of where you see that progression.
No offense taken, but that's exactly what I see happening. I have great aspirations into many different things. One of which is breaking that million mark, and which I think can easily happen into 2027. 2026 is going to be in which that year in which everybody's talking about it. 2027, everybody's going to be buying it. Now, there's one particular brand, and I'm not going to mention the name. I met the owner of this brand when he was boutique, and I would say, rose to power. And if I said the name, you would know exactly who it is. And he was in almost every shop you walk into. And then within the last year,
we like a name drop. We like a name drop. Come on.
Well, I can tell you, his cigars have a lot of dried leaves in the box.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden, in the last, say, 2 years, now those cigars are in the buy one get one, the BOGO pile. And I couldn't tell you what happened, but I know he made it from boutique into the legacy, and then all of a sudden, and you talk to different people, you get a lot of the same feedback, and they say that they didn't listen to the consumer. The consumer wasn't it was telling them what to do and how to do it, and they reached that point in which I'm too big and proud. And there's even large shops that are starting to do that, and they're starting to fall from their golden chair there because they're just not listening. And I hope to always keep my ear to the ground, always take feedback. I'm the first person to take any constructive feedback. I even took feedback when one guy smoked the Habano and said, "Oh my gosh, it's falling apart. Can you see what's happening here?" And he was literally chewing the end like it was candy. And I'll take the feedback. I'm not, and I'm not certain I can fix that for you. Here's another for your trouble. And I gave him a free cigar for his trouble. But I will always be listening to people and understand that I never want to reach that point in which I'm too big and proud to not listen to the consumer, because also the consumer very well may change, and you have to listen for that.
So going off that then, new cigar company comes out and they send you a message and go, "Samuel, we're just starting out. Can you give us some advice of where we need to be with making a cigar? What do we need to do to be like you and get out there?" What would be your 3 key points of advice for a new cigar company starting out?
Well, I see we're slowly running out of time here, quickly running out of time. I think it's going to be a question, then an answers. Where do you want to go? What is just what they said to me? What are your aspirations? Do you want a top tier cigar? Do you want to just be okay at a mid tier cigar? Are you looking at the most cost effective cigar? And then I'll tailor my answer based on that. So I need to know their true destination to help guide them based on what I've learned to get to that destination.
Exactly.
Great answer there.
Exactly.
And we're still okay for time if you're okay for time. That's the thing, Samuel. We go as long as the guest wants to go.
Yeah, I've got
That's the way we do this.
plenty of time.
It is.
You got a hot cigar there. Yeah,
It's the way we do it. We don't just cut you off after an hour and go, "Thank you very much, see you." No, we're not like that.
Well, I'll tell
We're
you,
not
I
like
had a group of friends
So-
once upon a time similar to this, and we used to have our cigar nights, and we would look at our watches and find out all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the morning and go,
Yeah.
uh-oh, I guess we should cut it off now.
yeah,
Yeah.
you might be in trouble.
Yeah, me and
Been there.
Grumpy and Matthew have had them kind of nights when we've been playing poker and we're like, "Oh
It's
shit,
happened
what time is it?
before.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know it's like 4 a.m. for me? Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
only this time in the States, and I go to bed. But come on, it's like, come on, bros, I go to bed. Seriously, come on. But
You don't
you
sleep.
know something? It's great advice. I know you said, of course, about the Bano and the Connecticut, and pretty much it's the same kind of recipe under, except for the wrapper. Now, where would you put that? Is it the same binder in both of the cigars? Is it the same kind of filler in the cigars? It's just you've changed it up with the wrapper, because we've seen this with different
Yeah.
cigar companies. We've seen it with Drew Estate, of course, with the blackened M81 and then the shade S84. They changed the wrapper. Right, we're going to go with that Ecuadorian Connecticut on the S84, but we're going to keep the San Andreas on the M81. Is that kind of the same as with yours? There's same makeup, binder, filler, just different wrapper?
Not necessarily, but yes, it is the same tobacco leaves sourced from the same places. But
Right.
that goes back to the recipe and how it's constructed. You can smoke both those cigars.
Yes, please.
And you honestly
you.
probably, unless you have a real fabulous taste,
Mm.
not be able
Oh,
Oh,
Oops. He touched something.
well, we hope Samuel comes back in a minute, everyone.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Hope we didn't
thank
lose
you
him
for
for
watching.
good. Yeah.
We just seem to be having technical issue here. But just going to read out a message
Yeah.
that we've got. So
There he is.
Did I lose you?
There you go. You're back.
So tied and tested moments is put. I have never had the
he's done
pleasure to
again.
try your brand, but looking forward to seeing you at PCA. So that's what they've put there on
Yeah.
Insta, and hopefully Samuel will be back in a minute. But guys, are you enjoying the cigar at the moment? Are you enjoying the cigar? And
Yeah, there he is.
Yes.
So that's
It
the
definitely-
downside of
Yeah.
using your cell phone to do this. If somebody calls you, it cuts you off.
Yep.
Wow.
Push you straight to that.
that is true. We've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used
But
to
yeah.
use my phone too.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know
yeah.
if you heard, but if you heard what I said, Samuel, there's of course tired and true moments is poor. I have never had the pleasure to try your brand, but looking forward to seeing you at PCA. So tired and true moments is going to come and see you at PCA and try your cigars. So that's going to be great. And
Excellent.
This is the
And-
this is the
there you
thing.
go.
And I'll go ahead and throw out the booth number 4707.
There you go.
There you go.
So everyone, make sure to go and check out the booth at PCA. And this is the thing, you know something. We hope this PCA is everything that you want PCA to be. We've heard the horror stories from the different companies, from boutique to legacy that have been there. Boutique companies saying, "Well, we didn't get seen because there's this big, massive fucking banner in front of us, and we were behind it."
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah,
or
we've heard
we were
those
shoved
tales.
near, or we were shoved near the exit, and we couldn't be seen, or we're next to the toilets, and it's like, seriously, this is the shit what goes on. Well, we need to not be in New Orleans. We need to be back in Vegas. Vegas was better. How do you feel about it being in New Orleans to, of course, it originally being in Vegas? Do you reckon it needs to go back to Vegas? Or do you reckon
Well-
there's New Orleans is the place to be?
So a couple different things on that is, first off, this is my first PCA. I have done a
Mhm.
lot of different conventions for different, such as technology companies, been in a lot of different convention centers doing shows such as this.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect out of the New Orleans. I do know that the booth I'm in is on the way to the food. So I don't know if that's good or bad because maybe you're hungry on your way out and say, you know what, I'll
Well,
catch you later.
yeah. So
You'll
that's
get,
just
you'll
like
get you'll get people walking by. That's for sure.
that's just like I couldn't figure out why people are griping because they buy the bathroom. Everybody's gonna go to the bathroom sooner or later. They're gonna walk around
Yeah,
and have to go to the bathroom. They're gonna come by. I
just
mean,
make sure you keep
Yeah.
some wet naps around.
there you go. You gotta know how to play the crowd, man. Read the room. Don't be crying because you
Brother,
by the bathroom.
brother, when we go PC, I was thinking about having a cavity. Easy done.
Oh
I can
God,
just have
here
a
we
pee on the
go.
move while I'm going.
Oh,
Dang,
Well,
I ain't going to rush
well,
no
on the
toilets.
move for you is in a
Upstairs one.
wheelchair, so
Well, you'll be pushing my fat ass, won't you? Love you too, my brother.
yeah. God.
Forgot about that one, didn't you? Hey,
Man.
no,
Well,
nothing.
I
something,
tell you,
Samuel. We can't wish you enough with that, and also I want to put out there
Yeah.
for your
Yeah.
generosity of sending, of course, the guys the cigars and coming with us
Mm-hmm.
tonight.
Absolutely.
And you know something, this is what it's about: learning about yourself, where you came from to do this, your passion. And we've always said, if you're in this, you gotta have a passion because if you haven't got a passion for your company, you haven't got a passion for your cigar, you're not doing the grind, you're not getting the PCA, you're not getting the different events, you're not pushing. You might as well just sit there in the distance and go, you know what? Okay, yeah, I've got a cigar. Let's see if it sells. And just sit
so
back.
interesting you said that. And one of the first lessons when I went down to Esteli, I went down with the
Yeah.
mindset of I want to create a cigar that people are going to buy, which is the wrong mindset. I got down there and got instructed. You need to create a cigar you personally love. Don't create a cigar for the masses. Create something you have a passion for, you love. It just so happens these cigars are my favorite cigars. I try not to smoke them unless I'm in public, but it's hard if they're my favorite cigars because
Yeah.
I constructed them and built them to have that passion. So when I talk about them, I'm talking about them because I love these cigars.
Yeah.
That's
You
great.
did that. You know. Pick it up and say, yep.
That's the
Right,
thing.
right there.
You got to believe in your own stuff. And the thing is,
Right.
it's the same as putting your own name on it. And you have put your own name on it. You put your own last name on it. If you're going to put your name on it, you've got to enjoy that product. If you don't enjoy that product and you put your name on it, and you don't enjoy it, it's like, well, what am I doing? Why have I done this? And this is the thing. I've seen a lot of companies do it. A lot of them companies ain't around now, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is.
And that's, that
Yeah.
that kind of advice right there, like I said earlier, man. People should have been taking notes when you were throwing that kind of advice out earlier. They should have been taking notes. There was a lot in what you said.
Yeah,
know.
we've actually heard people say, and again, won't name names, but we've heard
Yeah.
people say that their cigars are made for the consumer, not themselves, and it's like, wow, that is
Right.
an interesting take.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well, we had a
And
comment
see that-
about New Orleans, and tried and true moments. She's put, New Orleans is better food, price friendly bars and restaurants. So he likes New Orleans. But
I did just hear
Come
that
on,
New
Grumps,
Orleans, they just recently banned smoking on the street.
that's
Yep.
going to be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
New Orleans is a totally
It's-
different vibe from Vegas. There ain't no way you can deny that if you've ever been to both.
Yep.
You
I
know,
was
they're
out in
both great
Vegas.
places, just like
Yeah, I
you
was out
said.
in Vegas a couple months ago, and it's interesting. I was talking to a bunch of shops out there, and I could be right, I could be wrong, but almost every one of those shops, all sources from the same distributor. And if you're not in with that distributor, you can't be in Vegas.
Oh,
Yep.
that's rough.
And
That sounds like a lot of things in Vegas.
but we've seen crazy things, aren't we? There's
Yeah.
if you look at it, there's Fuente Cigar Lounge is no more in Vegas. It's gone. And you're like, wow, you'd think Fuente would have stayed in Vegas, been there for donkey's years. basically, and now it's not. And I think a lot of it's different laws, and I know we dived just there. So my next question is, what do you think of all the different laws that have been passed state to state in the United States and generational bans and different things? What's your viewpoint on it, Samuel? What's your viewpoint
So
on that, my bro?
it is a full-time job to keep up with all the different licenses and registrations and regulations in every state. Now, some states are ridiculous, and there are some states I don't intend to be in because of that. Maybe once I'm large enough that I don't care anymore, but still, I don't
Yeah.
think it's worth. It's like you said, diminishing returns. If I'm going to be paying more money to be sitting in a state that I can make out of that state, then that's not worth it. Now, you look at some of this. So we talked about Ireland. Ireland is proud of themselves to be the first country that eliminate smoking inside. And if you go
Yep.
into a cigar shop in Ireland, they have pieces of paper around every band now because they consider that advertising. So you can't even know what you're buying because it's considered advertising. So as the cigars are sitting on the shelves, all their rings are covered by paper.
Wow.
Ireland's a crazy place, I know, because the price of beer is through the roof in Ireland. And Ireland took the stance of the smoking ban the same time as England took the stance of the smoking ban. And it killed a lot of hospitality off. It killed a lot of different bars off, nightclubs, you name it. My whole sector of when I started was bars, nightclubs, bouncing, working on the doors, working on the strip bars, you name it. And as soon as that came in, it was like you go in one night on a Friday night thinking it's going to be busy. You got one person, and you're like, "Wow, where's everyone gone?" Well, I'd rather sit at home and be able to smoke a cigar in my house and have a beer. Rather sit in my garden and do it than being told, "Sorry, but if you come in our pub or our bar, you can't do this." And
So
it's
you
a hard thing
mentioned
that we're seeing.
you mentioned beer in Ireland, and I'm not a huge beer drinker, but the stout beer in Ireland, ooh, that's a whole meal in itself. Oh my! And people that have not
I've tried to
traveled,
tell these guys. I've
Yep.
tried
I
to tell the
know.
guys on this. You look at Guinness in the United States and look at Guinness in the UK, it's like piss water. There's someone's pissed in your can. You go there in Ireland and it's like trickle. It trickles out like mud. It is strong shit. When you drink that, you know you're full. You just had a meal in a glass, basically.
and all the beers that we get here, depending where you go, and if you go to their origins, it's totally different. So I was in Belgium, and I said, "I'm in Belgium. I'm gonna get a Stella." And the waiter, he turns to me, and goes, "Seriously, you're gonna order a woman's drink?"
Yep.
Fair.
Yep.
Fair.
And then you go into Amsterdam and you start ordering a Heineken. It's different. It's totally all these beers we get here in America. Now I've heard 5, 6, 7 different theories on why. Some of them are probably right, some of them are not. But my God, it's a different experience having those same beers in the locations they were meant to be had. And this is coming from a guy who doesn't necessarily drink a lot of beer.
Right.
It's crazy because I know when my cousins were working in Japan and they went out to teach English, and of course they married 2 lovely women and got kids, and they've come back to England, and they asked me to go out originally in 2008, and I was like, "What's the price of beer?" And they told me, and I'm like, "Yep, I ain't coming. It's cheaper in England." Now I look out, it's cheaper to go to Japan and drink than to see, because the price has gone through the roof. And
Yeah.
it's different things. It's like, what's your whole aspect on generational bands now? So these nice generational bands that they're bringing in, like England wants to do. Ireland's thinking about doing it. We know the Maldives have passed it and they've got it already in. We knew New Zealand brought it, and New Zealand were like, "Yep, we can't do trade deals. We can't do this. Yep, sorry, we're getting rid of it." What's your viewpoint on that, Sam?
You know, it's very difficult to keep up with all of the global policies and what's really changing. We see it every day. And I don't even, and I put a hard stance in myself and my brand to never get into politics, to get into anything such as that. I don't believe cigars have a place in that world. And then you look at this type of every country is creating their own personality.
Yep.
And it gets incredibly difficult to manage. And especially as I want to push into other countries, I used to think it was hard to push into different states. Now pushing into other countries on top of that is a whole nother layer. I'm working on other situations in which I can ship directly from Nicaragua into these other countries just to simplify my logistics.
No.
That's smart.
We don't think there's, here in England anyway, there's, well, my viewpoint anyway, and I've spoken to MPs, I've sent letters to MPs down there in Westminster, and everything. This generational ban should definitely be for cigarette smokers and vapors. It shouldn't be for cigar smokers because of the age. I don't agree this cigars should be classed in the same category as cigarettes, vapes, dipping, anything like that. Separate category. But of course, they want to include it in all together. A lot of the thing here is there's no lobbying like there is in the States, where you've got the lobbying and people fighting for your rights and stuff. And we've said it before. If it's happened here in England, and each of us work together of legislation from the States being sent to here, so basically our government can look at the legislation and read into it properly, then there might be people that lobby for it over here. And I don't think it's going to change. I hope it doesn't happen, and I can't see it happening. Because if they do it, I think the turnaround is going to be within 2 months, and they'll go, yeah, we made a mistake. We're like New Zealand now. We can't do trade deals. We can't do this deal. We can't do that deal. Let's get rid. And this is the thing. It's just going to open that black market society where people are going to go, well, I'm gonna go to this website. I'm gonna go to that website and see if I can get a couple hundred sent through, and then I'm gonna sell them. Well, I know someone that does that now. That he goes to Belgium, he goes to France, he goes to Bulgaria, Spain. He's got family there, and they are sending them boxes with 100 to 200 Cubans a time, and he's selling them without a tobacco license here, breaking every single law. But that's the black market industry, and people are watching his social media and trying to shut him down. It's crazy.
Well, and you're absolutely right, and this is what I dislike. If people want to do the right thing, and you make doing the right thing so difficult, they will find a way to do it. And so, why don't you just you do it the right way, make it accessible, and you can monitor it all day long. And then guess what? You're going to find people that will fall in line. People only find unique ways around things because you make it so difficult to do the right thing.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. So normally I ask this question of everyone, and it's a fun question. It is. So 5 people, alive or dead, that you would love to sit and smoke a cigar with at a party. It can be anyone from music to film to sport to family. It can be anyone. But 5 people that you would like to sit down and smoke a cigar with, live or dead.
Well, that's a very interesting question. One of which I know is easy right off the top of my head is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's an interesting guy. His political views are not exactly my taste these days, but you look at him, he made his first $1 million before he ever became an actor. He fought and killed himself to make something out of himself, and just a remarkable life story. I'd love to sit and have a cigar with him and just talk about all the different things that's happened throughout his life. I think that would be a lot of fun. And you can find all the clips about him talking about cigars, and I love it. He says, nobody can, obviously before he got divorced, said, nobody can tell me I'm doing cigars wrong because my wife's father's the one that got me into it. And just great clips of him talking about cigars. That one would be fun. Gosh, there's probably a lot of big names out there, but I'm just going to leave it at that one and say I think I would love to have a few cigars with him.
Okay.
Well, let's flip it around. What are the top 5 you'd have? And maybe let's see if one of them is mine.
So mine is Ozzy Osbourne, as tattooed on my arm. Big Ozzy Osbourne fan. And Ozzy Osbourne did used to smoke cigars. And I'd like to get with him, which I can't now, of course, because he's passed. But theoretically, if I could, and talk about his journey from the West Midlands. Because, like I say, he was in Birmingham, 30 minutes from where I live, in Stoke-on-Trent. And just find out about that and talk about the genre of metal and say to him, well, do you agree with being called the godfather of metal? My other one would be James Hetfield, sitting down with him and talking about cigars, because cigar maker making these cigars. So I'd like to sit down with him. Winston Churchill, I'd like to sit down with, pull into his brain about different things and where he sees England now. And our relationship with the US has been all over the news. There's England and the US relationships ain't as great as what they used to be. So it'd be like, Winston, what do you reckon? And ask him that one. And yeah, Arnie's always been on mine, because Arnie's always been that action star that I liked. Of course, Predator, Terminator, Commando, Conan. And as we know now, Commando 2, another Predator, Conan the King, are all getting filmed with Arnie. And you're like, dang, this bloke's really old. How the hell is he going to pull these movies off without having a heart attack on set? Yeah, CGI. But them are some of my picks. And then, of course, it would always be my grandfather. My grandfather was there for me when my father left at 4, and was always there for me, raised me to the man I am now, and sadly he passed away 10 years ago. And I kept my cigar smoking hidden. He did not know I smoked a cigar. I kept it hidden from him. I kept it hidden from my grandmother. I kept it hidden from my mother, until my mother walked down and caught me sitting in the garden smoking a cigar. And I'm like, oops, I've been caught after so many years. Dang. Okay. But yeah, that's my picks. Grump, Matthew, go into some of your picks, my brothers, for Samuel. Who you picked, if you can remember.
Oh.
I know it's getting late for you, Grump, and I know
Nice.
coming up to your bedtime, and we need to send you back to care home. So
Yeah, that one's for you.
I just jumped off video for a second, but I'm staying on the audio.
Yep, all right, bro. That's fine.
All right. Then
So,
go ahead, man.
well, so it's hard for me because, of course, I would pick some of the same ones: James Hetfield, Arnold, even Sylvester Stallone. Again, action star from the 80s and 90s that I loved watching, grew up watching. Clint Eastwood is another one. You know, that's that one that you saw growing up, you know. But then, like, you know, it's a little bit tougher after that. You know, I know I came up with something more original the first time I came up with this list, but I don't have a lot of people other than like the basics that you would want to say that aren't, you know, blenders. Obviously, there's a couple master blenders that I would love to sit down and pick their brain and just sit and smoke with.
I know originally when we spoke to you about it, you said, of course, maybe Sharon Stone, Rhiannon, and people like that, of course, from the Sisters of the Leaf. Cigars. I know you picked a couple of them out. You did. What about you, Grump?
Yeah, I probably did.
The first time we went through this, I couldn't even, you know, there's so many, you know, that and it like constantly changes, because I think, you know, well, I know I said that time, but now here's this other one that I would really, you know, be interested in. And I don't know if he'd smoke a cigar with me, but, you know, my bucket list, I still want to get on Willie's bus.
Yeah, Big Willie.
Whether he smoked a cigar with me and talk about it or not, I don't know. But, you know, I'd like to sit down with Hank Jr. and have a cigar and talk about the comeback from, that dive off Ajax Mountain that he didn't intend to take.
Mm.
I'd like to sit down and talk to him about how, coming back from that. If JFK was a cigar smoker, that would be an
JFK was.
interesting man. That he'd
Well,
be
he
an interesting
was.
man to sit down and have a cigar with and just
Brother.
discuss his mind, pick his brain.
Grump, go on YouTube and find Porn Stars, the TV program from Las Vegas, and there was a box of JFK cigars that got put in the shop and the price on it. It was crazy, and these were
Yeah.
legit cigars before the embargo. That were
I was about to say,
JFK's, and
Yeah.
it was a crazy show. Let me
Yeah.
say that. When I
There's all sorts
Yeah.
of stories about JFK and his huge selection of cigars that he had shipped over right before the embargo. So
Yeah. All
Yep.
that. Yeah, DEA said 80K.
Yep.
And I think, and I know I'm gonna James Spader
okay.
All right. Okay. James Ready. Yeah.
from Blacklist,
Mm-hmm.
Red
Good show.
Reddington. Yeah, man, I love that show. I'll tell you another show that would blend in with our conspiracy talking. You ever
Uh-oh.
watch that show called Person of Interest with Jim Caviezel or whatever his
I
name
have.
was?
Yep.
Yeah. I'd like to sit down
What
and have a
about-
cigar with him, ask him about, what was it like filming that? Because if you ever watch Person of Interest, if you ever watch
Oh,
that
yeah.
show, start with season 1 from the beginning.
Oh,
That right there, and then look at where we are today. Yeah, it's
about-
freaky.
what about Reverend Bob Joyce?
You mean
If he
Elvis?
wanted to sit down and smoke a cigar with me, I'd sit down and smoke one with him.
Well, we know he's Elvis, and Elvis smokes cigars, so I'm sure Bob Joyce does stuff.
Well, you had to throw Morgan Freeman in there too, because
Oh boy. Let's not,
sit down with
let's
Mr.
not-
Jimmy and sit down with
let's
Mr.
not
Jimmy
run
and
down
have a
the rabbit
cigar,
hole
man.
now.
Yeah, we sit down and have a cigar with Mr. Jimmy.
DAA's comment. What about Donald Trump?
That would be interesting if
Mm.
you could get him to smoke a cigar, but I don't see him smoking a cigar. He seems kind of,
I believe,
you know.
I believe from what I've heard, there is family members in the Trump family that do smoke cigars. Don't
Oh,
me
I'll
to
tell you
which
another
ones.
one. Tell you another one I'd like to
There
sit down
is-
with who? Andrew
Who's
Tate.
that? Oh boy.
Oof. I think
Yeah.
we'll move on from that subject. So yes, Samuel, them are the picks, brother.
Yeah, those are some really good picks. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to be said about a lot of them, but I do
Yeah.
have to say that show, The Blacklist, that was an exceptional show. I watched
It was.
every single episode of that, and towards the very last season, it started like they were stretching a little bit, and as
Yeah.
soon as they killed off a lot of the main characters, that one didn't do it for me, but the rest absolutely did.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a sad to see that go down like it did, but that was a good
I
show.
think everyone else as well would choose George Burns.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one that's pretty high up there. Yep.
Yeah, Burns is always high on the list.
I think there's a lot, and a lot
Yeah.
of people choose different blenders. They'll choose different cigar factories and people that are in there. The grandparents is like DEA put in his comment. There's Ibby's dad, Churchill, both of his grandfathers, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And this is
exactly,
the thing. I
brother.
think we always get to that point of where we'd like to sit with a grandfather, or we'd like to sit with the fathers or brothers, cousins, best friends. We've lost a best friend, or grandmothers. I know you, Grumpy, of course, your grandmother smoked and everything and different things and that. I know, of course, Matthew, with you, there's people that you'd like to, there's people that I'd like to, and different things. It's an ever-growing list. It always changes, and this is the thing. It's an interesting one. It is. But
I'll tell you what.
something?
The next time you have somebody, on your show, prep them for that question, so they'll have their list already ready for you.
That's the fun of it.
I never give it to them. I always ask it coming in because I like to see them sit there and go.
Yeah,
they got to think.
It's that deer in the headlights.
Keeps them on the toes.
Oh boy.
Yep, keeps them on the toes.
Yeah.
So I do it.
Yeah,
I'm the crazy Brit, so I've got to ask the questions and keep people on the toes. It's what those Brits do. It is. But Grumpy.
Yeah.
Of course, you've been smoking the cigar tonight, and then we'll go down to Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
Impressions of the cigar, bro. Because you know I always ask you the impressions of the cigar. You smoke them?
If you don't like that burn line, don't pay any attention to it. It's not the cigar's fault, because I do a lot of these out of here on the carport outdoors when the weather permits. So I've usually got a little breeze. Sometimes it'll get my line crooked, but it's well constructed, feels good in the hand. The draw is spot on. I mean, couldn't ask for anything any better as far as that goes. I'm kind of like Matthew was talking about earlier. Of course, I'm down to that far, but it does seem to have a little bit of that leather that sticks with you, and that little spice that's in there, man, that just hangs right in there, and it's been consistent. There's no, I mean, I don't know of a more accurate word to put for that, but it's been very consistent from the start, right up here to where I'm at, and it's a very solid cigar. Absolutely.
Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a bit spicier in the beginning, and then the spice kind of hangs out in the background.
Yeah.
For the rest of the cigar, like he said, consistency is what you get all the way through. It's what you talked about. You were looking to have a cigar that, that you could smoke, 3-4 of them in a day, and that's absolutely what it is. I could definitely smoke another one right now.
Yeah, I can fire another one up if I needed to. That don't have it, but,
I will say one thing I find in a lot of cigars, even higher end ones, where they'll start to get bitter near the end, and this cigar didn't do that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not getting bitter at all.
Even when it started burning my lips a little bit, I still wanted to go in for more, I did finish mine, so I'm no longer smoking it.
Smoking too fast.
But I do that. It was a very enjoyable cigar. I definitely, look forward to smoking some more of them, and I'm definitely looking forward to smoking this Connecticut.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, and of course, to anyone who's watching, make sure to check out Matthew on Vital and Proof, and he will do a review on there and tell you. So make sure to check that out. No doubt, Grumpy will either smoke and do a review, or he'll smoke it on Grumpy's Coffee Talk Show that you can catch on Rumble weekdays of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at noon Central, and that is Grumpy's Coffee Talk Show. So make sure to go and check that out on Rumble. And
Samuel,
Samuel, from me, thank you very much for this time that you spent with us tonight and talking about your brand, talking about the cigars, and answering the questions, because you know something, you can tell straight away, and most people who are probably watching now go, hey, Gas comes out with this bullshit line every fucking time he speaks to someone. But you know something, I only say it if I mean it. And half the time I don't say it to people, because sometimes I just don't want to, because straight away with them people, there's sometimes the fake. They ain't real. So I only tell it to the real ones. But you can tell straight away you are passionate about what you've put your name to and what you are doing. And this is the thing. You've got that passion. You've got the fire. and you know where you want to be. And with that, you were on that next plane. You're going to where you want to go with. Yeah, we're going to go here. Then we're going to go here. Then we're going to go here. And I'm not letting this stop me here. I'm not going to stop me here. I'm going to just keep going and going and going. And we see that. And you know something? I think any boutique company that we spoke to, the same there, where they're going and they're going, nope, you ain't stopping us. It seems to be the ones that have been around the longest now are like, oh yeah, we're going to put this out and see how it sells. Yeah, we're going to chuck this one out and see how it sells. Seriously? That's what you do? Okay. That's why we're focused on boutique and why we'll always focus on boutique and getting the boutique names out, getting the people's names out, getting these shows done, and letting people in the United States and sorry to all the UK audience, but I know we'd love to smoke these cigars when we talk to these people, but get in touch with your MPs and say, oi, MPs, pull the finger out the arse and let us have some more boutique cigars in the UK and stop giving us all these crazy prices and then they might enter. They might. But yeah, from me, Samuel, yet again, big thank you. Thank you for sending the guys the samples. From me, I'm going to say, stay smoky, everyone. Matthew?
Yes, Tim, it's been a great time getting to know you, getting to know your brand. I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on those Maduros you talked about earlier, that one you smoked and the other one. And even looking forward to your future Habano number 2, which tells us better stories. I very much enjoyed the Habano that I smoked tonight. And I do really appreciate a cigar that tells a story, so I'm looking forward to that. So, again, thank you for your time and your openness and honesty. We love that. So, as I always say, and nobody ever listens,
Nobody listens.
Won't be done. Grumpy.
Yeah, Samuel, man. Oh, I wish you all the best in this adventure. It's like's been said, your passion for it is obvious. Your knowledge of what's going on with it, that's obvious also. Not afraid of the questions, which is always an appreciative thing. Another thing that I want to say that I appreciated was when I contacted you about doing this, it was very quick responses. Anytime we communicated, the responses were very quick. We don't always have the convenience of dealing with quick responses. So, I want you to know that was greatly appreciated. And excellent cigar. Looking forward to the Connecticut and looking forward to trying the others that are out and coming out. And again, I wish you all the success with it. And we'll wind that one up and tell them that I love every one of you guys. Abba Father loves you too. But if he's not driving the bus in 2026, you may want to stop and switch seats with him because you're fixing to see some potholes. It's so grown. Catch me later.
And of course, we are live again next week on YouTube, Rumble, and Instagram, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 11 p.m. in the UK.
11,
because
right.
these crazy Americans, they kind of be on the same time leave. They've got to go forward that extra hour and go, you know what, we're going to mess the UK up. And it's like, what? Now I've got to remember time zones? I'm just a simple UK guy that doesn't remember. But yeah, 11 o'clock next week, everyone. Fuck you, Matthew. Don't you start me. But yeah, yet again, thank you, Samuel. And you know something? We definitely have to sit down with you again, my brother, and have a catch up with you and bring you back. And thanks for being an excellent guest. But yep, everyone, we'll catch you next week. Thank you for joining. Thank you for enjoying. And please like, share, and subscribe. See you next week.
From the depths of the internet, a podcast did arise. A trio of loons with cigars in their eyes. They've invaded the world with their smoky surprise. The Cigar Loons, they're oh so wise. Lunatic invaders of the cigar world, spreading smoke and laughter, their stories unfold. From the finest blends to the wildest tales, the Cigar Loons never fail to prevail. With their witty banter and infectious glee, they've captured hearts, you see. They're more than just smokers, they're a family, united by cigars, a brotherhood free. Invaders of the cigar world, spreading smoke and laughter, their stories unfold. From the finest blends to the wildest tales, the Cigar Loons never fail to prevail. They've got the knowledge, the passion, the flair, a podcast powerhouse beyond compare. So light up a stogie and join the affair. The Cigar Loons are always there. Lunatic invaders of the cigar world, spreading smoke and laughter, their stories unfold. From the finest blends to the wildest tales, the Cigar Loons never fail to